Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Inshallah, we shall continue now with tayammum. Alright, so here we have some notes here on tayammum. Alright, okay. So any soil with the knee off the tahara. Tayammum is permissible when there's a valid excuse, a pretty high caliber excuses actually. Roughly yeah, 1 Hashemite mile, which is 1.16 mile away from water. So it is suggested that it's a reasonable likelihood. It's not that you can measure the mile and figure out how far the distance is, and you can, with the reasonable likelihood of this distance is sufficient. You don't have to be like super accurate in trying to figure out it's exactly that, and a reasonable likelihood. And and this could be in a journey or even in one's own city if all the other criteria are otherwise also met. So water has to be reasonably far away. And there's extreme cold. Okay, so extreme cold is defined as, like super extreme cold, such that a person feels with the right like illness that there will be some damage to the limb if the by using the water. All right, so extreme cold and sickness, and the sickness is that he will get worse if he were to do wudu, and this fear has to be also of reasonable likelihood. Okay, how would you know from clear and obvious sign, like you gangrenous foot or something like that, or from past experiences, or from a skilled Muslim physician who's not a fasiq? So it has to be a reasonable likelihood from past experiences or clear obvious signs, a skilled Muslim physician who's not corrupt. And then wounds on most of the body. Fear of thirst. This is interesting. Fear of thirst is for oneself, okay, or one's travel partner. Let's say you just have enough water for now, okay? You have water, but that's the last water that you have, or even for one animals. But if you use it up, then there's no more water left, either for yourself or your partner or for the animal. Okay, at present or in the future. So even though not right now you're okay, you might have enough water for making wudu and even for cooking. But that's it. But you have 10 days worth of journey ahead. If you use this up, then that's it. At present or in future, fear of so this is important. Fear of thirst for present or future is also important. Fear of an enemy or wild beast around the water. So if we have that fear of around the water, wild beast around the water. And lack of apparatus to draw the water out of the well. So some of these wells are deep, and there's no way for you to get actually the water. Fear of missing the funeral prayer, the janazah prayer, or Eid prayer, even if building upon one's prayer, if one's wudu is nullified during the prayer, as opposed to Friday prayer or normal prescribed prayer. For this only applies to janazah prayer or the Eid prayer, because those are exceptional scenarios, and you don't have a lot of time to make wudu. So those are all the reasons that you can potentially do tayammum. Okay, now so there's some if one forgets that he has water in the caravan, and then they perform wudu, and then later you do discover the water, you don't have to make up the you don't have to make up those prayers, and Allah knows best. If one prays Zohar Salat with tayammum and later still there is time for Zohar and water becomes available, then the person does not have to repeat the Salah. Okay. Tayammum may be performed with any pure substance of the earth. It does not have to be dirt, okay? It could be dirt, it could be sand, it could be antimony, it could be limestone, it could be stones or dust, or even the dust on one's clothes, or dust on the walls, etc. So one key thing is, for tayammum you have to have intention. Unlike for wudu and ghusl, the intention is an obligatory condition for the validity of a tayammum. You have to say, I'm going to make tayammum now. Hence, when a Muslim intends to remove the state of ritual impurity, and this is for minor or major impurity, okay, he strikes the earth once and wipes his hand, wipes his face completely with the dirt or whatever substance he's using, strikes it a second time and wipes his arms up to and including the elbow completely with dirt, and then he becomes pure, even if he were in a state of major ritual impurity, in the state of janaba, junub. He may then perform as many salat as he wishes, even spanning multiple prayer times, both obligatory and voluntary, until either his wudu is nullified or his excuse for performing tayammum ends. So, subhanallah azim. Okay, striking in this means to place both both strikes are conditioned for valid tayammum. Okay, now so, if one has wounds on his body, yet his uninjured limbs are more than his injured limbs, he must wash the uninjured limbs and wipe the wounded ones, as long as wiping them does not hurt him. Otherwise, he may leave those limbs neither washing nor wiping them. One may not, however, wash some limbs and perform tayammum as well. That is, you cannot combine wudu and tayammum. Okay, so that's that. That's tayammum. And next we shall talk about wiping of the footgear, the khuffs. Now we talked about his has sickness, right? So for tayammum, okay, one of the condition is he's got wounds on most of the body. That business here, wounds on most of the body. How much is most? Okay, when talking about wudu, most, okay, the limbs based on the number of the limbs. Okay, most is based on the number of the limbs. Okay, whereas for ghusl, it is based on the total body surface area. Okay, so for ghusl, it's based on total body surface area. So for ghusl, it's based on total body surface area, like this. Okay. So for either of them, if half or more of the limbs to be washed are injured, then one can perform tayammum. So how much is sick? Half or more, half of the limbs. Okay. So or more. And for ghusl, if half or more of the body then becomes, if it's less than that, you cannot do tayammum. If less than half are injured, one may not perform tayammum, but instead must wash. So if less than half are injured, then do as best as you can. Will do and ghusl, and one must wash the uninjured and wipe the injured limbs with a wet hand, or if that entails harms, then with a wet cloth. If that too would cause harm, then one may just leave the injured limbs altogether and just wash the uninjured ones. Finally, one does not have to wash the uninjured limb if doing so would cause water to reach the injured limbs, thereby causing damage. Rather perform tayammum. Okay. Uh, uh, if finally one does not have to wash the uninjured limbs if doing so would cause water to reach the injured limbs, thereby causing damage. In that case, you would do tayammum. So how much injury is there for wudu? Half the limbs. For ghusl, half of the total body surface area. So that's what constitutes being injured. Okay, now wiping of the footgear, the hoofs. Both men and women can wipe on the hoofs, whether traveling or even in residence. It's not a thing that you have to be traveling. You could do it even if you're not traveling. Many Sahaba did masa of the khuffain. It is a well established from many ahadith. In order to be able to wipe the hoofs, one must have completed wudu before its nullification. So you have to first do wudu and then wear the hoofs. Okay. However, it is not a condition to complete wudu before wearing the hoofs. Okay, that is, if one were to wash their feet, then wear the hoops, and then complete the wudu, it would be valid to wipe on the hoops afterwards. Okay, so that's the idea. But you have to have wudu before you put the on. But you don't have to complete the wudu. You can wash the feet, put the hoops on, and then complete the wudu. That's the idea. If one is a resident that is not a journey, he may wipe the hoops for one complete day. So if you're a resident, then you can wipe the hoops for one complete day and night, or 24 hours. And for travel, however, may wipe for 3 complete days and nights, or 72 hours. This time period during which one may wipe the hoops begins from the time the wudu is nullified, after having worn them in a state of ritual purity. Okay, so let's say you started it, you were right after Fajr, okay, you made wudu and you made the khuf after Fajr, okay, and then you're a resident, so you can have it full 24 hours, right? But you are able to keep your wudu until Zohar time, okay, and then the Zohar time, the wudu is broken. That's when the clock starts for 24 hours. Until next Zohar time, the next 24 hours is how long you can wear this. So, so that's another bonus here. This time period during which one may wipe begins from the time wudu is nullified after having worn them in a state of ritual purity. So it doesn't begin right away, but it begins after the wudu is nullified, and that's how long you can, because that's when it actually becomes effective, right? So you can do that. The minimum required area that must be wiped is an amount equivalent to the surface area of the person's three smallest fingers. Okay, so the minimum amount that has to be wiped. So this is important. Minimum required area that must be wiped. Okay, is equal to surface area of the person's three smallest fingers. That's very important. This much of the top of each of the pair must be wiped. Each hoof must be free from holes that, if combined, are equal to the surface area of a person's three small toes. Hence, if the holes of one of the pair are less than the area, it is still valid to wipe on it, even if one in such. Also, okay, so the how much holes can they have? Okay, each hoof must be free from holes, uh, so that if combined, the equivalent of the area of three smallest toes, so equivalent of the area of the three smallest toes, and if the holes of one pair are less than the area, so one toe has this much and the other toe has this much, you don't combine the two, okay? So each one of them is considered separately. Each one is considered separately. The sunnah method of wiping the hoof is to begin at the toes with one's fingers spread apart and fingers spread apart, and to wipe towards the shin. So from fingers spread apart and wipe towards the shin, towards the shin. Okay, so that's how it is done. The following things invalidate the wiping of the hoofs. Anything that nullifies the wudu, okay? Anything that nullifies the wudu, and then you have to make new wudu or over the hoofs. Taking even one of the pair off. If you take the pair off, then it invalidates it. The expiration of the time period, unless based on reasonable likelihood, one fears harm to his feet due to extreme cold. Okay, most of the foot leaving the hoof. Okay, most of it leaving. It is not valid to wipe a turban, cap, face veil, or gloves. You can't wipe those. Okay. All right. Wiping casts. Now, if you have a broken bone and a cast on your foot, has been broken and bone or the limb, he may wipe its cast, bandage, or dressing for as long as the excuse remains, even if it were placed on the limb while the person was in a state of major or minor ritual impurity. So you can wipe it even if it was placed in a state of impurity. Also, it's not necessary to wash the exposed skin in between the wrappings. If the cast of the bandage falls off and the limb has not yet healed, then neither the previous wiping nor the ritual prayer is invalidated. Okay. If a new cast or bandage is placed on the wounded limb, to replace the old one, it is not necessary to wipe it if the original one had previously been wiped. In other words, it does not break the wudu before. Yet it is recommended to do so. Likewise, khuffs wiping a cast does not require an intention. Like khuffs, wiping cast does not require an intention. Okay, that's important. Next topic is going to be about menstruation. Inshallah, we shall start that next time. Salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah.